On this, the 22-year anniversary of 9/11/2001, the Alan Jackson song "Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning" does it hold up.
Music from the old days takes me to a simpler place when it was just me and you.
This is normally a segment on the channel where we go back and we check out music and entertainment from past eras, and we ask ourselves the question, in 2023, does it still hold up today? But today's a little different. We're going back and we're checking out Alan Jackson, "Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning," in honor and in memory of those lost on 9/11/2001, 22 years ago today. What a solemn day, what a reflective day, what an awful day. It was one of the darkest in the history, if not the darkest day in the history of the United States. And we're checking this out today. Going to go back and revisit this message. This award show that he performed this on, I think this was like within just a couple of months of the 9/11 attacks. So without further ado, Alan Jackson, "Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning?" Hitting play now.
Tonight, Alan Jackson is a nominee for 4 of tonight's awards. And the songs that he writes always tell it like it is. Simple truths that come from his heart. When he went to bed late last week, he couldn't sleep because of an idea that he had for this song. It kept running through his head. So early in the morning, he got up and he wrote this song, and we're honored that he chose to do it for the first time in front of anybody. Please welcome Mr. Alan Jackson.
Alan Jackson kind of has a history of doing things at these award shows that are off script. I mean, I remember there was a year where he felt like the legend George Jones had kind of gotten snubbed off of the award show, and so he just stopped in the middle of his song and started singing George Jones' song choices right in the middle of his song to kind of send a message. So he's kind of always done that on these award shows, where he will kind of change what he's going to do or whatever they're asking him to do based on what he feels like needs to happen. And this was obviously something he felt very convicted about.
Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? Out in the yard, your wife and children working on some stage in L.A. Did you stand there in shock at the sight of that black smoke rising against that blue sky?
It's crazy. We've all watched the footage so many times from that day when he says the black smoke rising against the blue sky. You just see it. You just see it in your mind. We've seen those images and those videos so many times, and I will go ahead and tell you, on Hulu there is a documentary that they put out for the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. It is the most in-depth documentary about what went on in New York and Washington on 9/11 that if you think you can handle it, it is just to see the heroes of that day, which is pretty much what it focuses on. I would encourage anybody to go watch it. It is just, it'll take your breath away. But when he talks about the black smoke rising against the blue sky, the imagery, where we all think of the exact same image because we watched it and we remember.
Did you shout out in anger and fear for your neighbor, or did you just sit down and cry?
Both.
Did you weep for the children who lost their dear loved ones, pray for the ones who don't know? Did you rejoice for the people who walked from the rubble and sob for the ones left below? Did you burst out in pride for the red, white, and blue, and the heroes who died just doing what they do? Did you look
Gosh, that line right there, the heroes who died just doing what they do. You know, the heroes who clocked into work that day thinking it was just going to be a regular day, and then they ended up having to walk into a war zone, you know. And same for people who clocked into work that day in the World Trade Center, the people who were just getting on a plane to fly from one city to the other. You know, just a normal day, and in seconds it becomes tragedy all around.
Look up to heaven for some kind of answer, and look at yourself and what really matters. I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love.
Yeah. Man, I love how conversational it gets through there. The whole song is that way, but especially when he talks about, you know, I'm just a simple guy. I'm a singer. I write songs. I'm not political. I don't know the difference in Iraq and Iran. Like, it's so conversational. It's so relatable, you know. And it's so, man, so foreign to what we know today, because now everything is political, right? Everything. Everywhere you look, every single thing has been made political. So to see somebody who's sitting up there who's like, I'm not a political guy, you know, like, I feel like that would be frowned upon now, you know? And of course, as a believer myself, I love the line about how faith, hope, and love are what He gave us, but the greatest of all those is love. Beautiful, beautiful message right there.
Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? Teaching a class full of innocent children, driving down some cold interstate. Did you feel guilty cause you're a survivor? In a crowded room, did you feel alone? Did you call up your mother and tell her you loved her? Did you dust off that Bible at home?
Gosh, I mean, for those of you who were around, you know, when this happened, you probably know somebody who did all of these things, you know? We were in a place we didn't know what to do. You know, we didn't know what in the world to do. I love the line about, did you feel guilty because you're a survivor? Because that's something that I think we look at this situation, or we look at things that happen in our world now, like mass shootings and things like that, and it's very easy to feel that guilt because, you know, why do I get to go to the grocery store and shop for my groceries and make it home safely, but then I hear about somebody on the news who went to the grocery store and was shot and killed, you know, in the bread aisle, you know? And so this situation was like a prime example of, like, you watch thousands of people die in a moment on TV, and, you know, you feel that guilt because you're like, man, I'm here and I'm safe in my home, and I feel guilty for that.
Did you open your eyes, hope it never happened? Close your eyes and not go to sleep.
Felt like a nightmare.
Did you notice the sunset the first time in ages? Speak to some stranger on the street. Did you lay down at night and think of tomorrow? Go out and buy you a gun. Did you turn off that violent old movie you're watching and turn on I Love Lucy reruns?
Oh. That's probably my favorite line of the song, because turning off the violent movie, turning on I Love Lucy reruns, you know, in that moment, you long for something innocent and wholesome and lighthearted. I know, I mentioned it a little bit ago, whenever I see something awful on the news about a mass shooting or something awful that's happened, I have those comfort shows that I want to go watch, that comfort movie, that comfort songs that are wholesome and pure and lighthearted, that feel innocent and just feel, light and not heavy. I love that he threw that line in. I think that line's ahead of its time because, and then that brings back that guilt because you have a chance to go watch one of your comfort shows and get your mind, or at least try to get your mind off of it. And there's some people who don't have that luxury. So I think it's a complex song because it's like you hear some of this and you're like, is it the right thing to do? Is it the wrong thing to do? What should we have been doing? In real time, it was like you just felt lost.
You go to a church and hold hands with some stranger, stand in line and give your own blood. Did you just stay home and cling tight to your family? Thank God you had somebody to love.
Yeah.
I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I could tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran.
Man, you can tell. This is... I don't remember when I feel like the CMA Awards are always in November. So if that's true, this is the 2001 CMA Award. This is like 2 months later. Very, very soon. Like, it has not been long at all since 9/11 at this point. You can feel, like, in the audience, like, what a moment this is. Because we were still looking for answers. It's only 2 months later. We're looking for answers. We're looking for what to do next. We're still shook up. We still don't know what in the world to do. And you can just feel like this is something. This is a special, special moment that he is providing here.
But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love.
And that's still true.
The greatest is love.
The greatest is still love.
The greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day?
Goodness gracious. Wow. And it's so amazing because on these award shows, you know how it is. It's usually everybody singing their biggest hits, their biggest hit songs over the last year. That's usually what it is. But, like, for him to come out there and do a song nobody's ever heard, that's very cool, very outlaw of him. The question here is, does it hold up? And it's a very unique edition of this. Usually, we listen to some song from the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s, and we listen to what style it is and the melody and the lyrics. This is a different kind of thing. The message of this song holds up for so many reasons. Number one, because we need to remember that day, and we sure don't need to forget. We need to be thankful for our freedom and remember the lives lost. Absolutely. It should go without saying. Like, it's a no-brainer. But it also holds up because think about, like, the division and the just, I hate to say hatred because it's such a strong word, but the hatred in our own country for our fellow man. You know, we hate each other for every reason you can think of, you know. And when I hear him say, faith, hope, and love are some good things he gave us, but the greatest is love, that's still true today. You know, it shouldn't take an event that tragic to make us realize how powerful love is. We need more love in the world, and it sounds cliche, and it sounds, you know, corny, but it's the truth, though. It's love is the most powerful force in the world. God is love. And, you know, we find ourselves in a lot of tough situations today in our world, and we're at each other's throats. And, you know, we just need to realize how powerful love is, and it's the greatest thing we've been given. So, you know, and a phenomenal job by Alan Jackson, and what a moment to use his time on the award show, not to do one of his hit songs, but to take a moment to try and speak some love and some light at a time only 2 months after the attacks. Unbelievable. I send all my love to those who lost loved ones, those who survived that are still with us today. I know this day is probably tough for you, and it's a day of remembrance for everybody. So take some time today to send some prayer and love to those who were affected by, you know, losing a loved one or surviving and dealing with the aftermath. And God bless everybody, and go out there and love somebody today on this 22-year anniversary. Thank you guys for joining me. Take it in, soak it up. Bye.